from the KCHS studios at Capitol High School.
Good Friday morning, Capitol. I'm Matthew Wright.
Matthew Wright was a young man of many interests and passions, such as doing the news and weather for the Capitol High School TV station.
We look at the northwest satellite image. Skies have cleared this morning, leaving us with mostly sunny skies later today.
It's part of the video production class there, the class for which Matthew produced this lip-sync music video. In which he professed his love for video games.
This class is definitely gonna be part of my life, a huge part of who I am.
A life filled with interests and passions, but a life cut short.
Well, this is Matthew's urn, and his welding class at Dennis Technical made it for us.
A memorial to Matthew sits just inside the Wright family's front door.
I mean, it's just a reminder every day of, he was here, and it's important.
It includes symbols of things he loved. The welded urn because he loved welding.
I mean, he really wanted to start his own welding business.
Moose because he shared a love of the grand animal with his grandfather.
He was a big moose fan.
And a picture of him with his beloved dog, Sprite.
After he passed, I went through his phone. He probably had 300 selfies with the dog.
Matthew died on March 26th of 2018, a couple days after a car crash on Highway 21 in Boise. He was just 18. Boise police say a pickup coming the other way turned left in front of him. A year later, his mom, Ann, says it's been tough on her husband, and Matt's brother and two sisters.
We just kind of have banded together as a family. My husband and I are definitely closer, and we just try to help each other out. I still have days where I have meltdowns, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I can be just fine, and then something will remind me of him. A song will come on, or...
One thing that gives Ann some peace, some solace, is knowing he saved 4 lives by donating his heart, liver, and 2 kidneys, and gave sight to 2 other people by donating his corneas.
Even though Matthew is gone, as Matthew, he's helping other people, which is what he, did.
Ann says Matthew registered as an organ donor when he got his driver's license. He talked to her and his dad about his wishes not long before his accident. He said,
if I have organs and somebody else needs them and I'm not going to need them, then you need to donate them. And had we not had that conversation, I would have never known. It doesn't surprise me that he was an organ donor at all. He wanted to be helpful to everyone.
His friends in the video production class wanted to be helpful in honoring him. They put together this touching tribute video.
Matthew Wright. Where do I even start with Matthew Wright?
Matt was definitely one of the biggest goofballs I've ever met.
He was so nice to everyone.
Matt was basically the best person I've ever known. I knew him since 1st grade. He would basically do anything for anyone.
His classmates will always remember Matthew fondly. His mom will always have him in her heart and head, but also on her arm. 2 tattoos. One of them, the Donate Life green ribbon with the date Matthew donated his organs. The other, a moose.
Matthew played the stand-up bass, so I had the bass clef put there. And this is Matthew's heartbeat. And then this is his initials in his handwriting. I just carry him with me all the time, and then, you pull up your sleeves and you think about him and you smile.
I'm 19 months older than my sister, and we just are thick and thin through our whole life.
Janice Berryman and her sister Patty have always been best friends. They bonded tightly as their family moved from Navy base to Navy base around the world. Their dad was a pilot.
By the time I graduated, I'd been to 15 different schools, including 3 high schools. So we just picked up, and we were always our first best friend wherever we landed.
So when her sister faced a crisis, she knew she had to help.
How can I be a solution to help my sister? What part can I do?
The solution was donating a part of herself, a kidney, but not to Patty, to Patty's husband of 31 years, Frank.
His health was impacting her.
Frank Cantrell was in end-stage kidney disease and on dialysis.
I've been fighting it for about 9 years, just in the last 6 months have gotten to the end of the rope, so to speak.
Good guy, good husband, a good veteran from the Navy. There was a determination within me because I saw my brother-in-law's health decline. And when you see someone who is living dead in front of you with gray and green skin and hollowed eyes.
You can actually see the kidney we're going to take out and put in our brother-in-law, which is his left kidney right here.
Dr. Stephen Potter is a transplant surgeon at Baylor Scott and White Medical Center in Temple, Texas.
This transplant's not just intended to boost his quality of life, it's going to add years to his life.
We thank you that Janice has a kidney she can spare.
A prayer by the sister's dad the night before the January 15th surgery, a shot of heavenly confidence.
Oh, 100%.
The next day, the surgery went well. Then in the recovery room,
I heard, "It's freezing in here." And that was like my brother-in-law. And so I popped my head up. I'm like, "Frank." And I said, "How you doing? You ready for a beer?"
I'm feeling pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Just 3 days after the transplant, Frank was getting around the hospital's hallways pretty well.
Feeling better inside and out, mentally, physically. It's just night and day.
Just to know that he has vitality, his color is so much better, his humor is back.
Janice and Frank may be in-laws, but their bond is tighter now.
We share a kinship now for the rest of our life. She's my sister now, definitely.
That means a lot because it's a reflection of his heart.
And of course, Janice's gift of life means everything to her sister and best friend.
To have a live donor is just incredible, and so, but for it to be your sister, it's just the gift that it's just unspeakable that somebody would do that for you.
By telling their story, they all hope to encourage others to consider being living organ donors or sharing their spare, as Janice puts it after seeing a story about another living donor.
It was #ShareYourSpare, and I've just locked and loaded on that.
As she writes thank you notes to all those who have helped her through the process, she thinks about the thousands of people on the waiting list for a kidney and the difference her decision to donate has made for Frank and Patty and their 3 children and 1 grandchild.
Grandchild's less than a year old, so he has so much more life ahead of him. To walk a daughter down an aisle, to spend time with future grandchildren, and really live out a good rest of his life with my sister.
I had to have open heart surgery when I was 2 weeks old.
Life got off to a challenging start for Chet Beebe. He was born with what he calls a single ventricle heart defect.
Essentially meaning one wasn't working.
Chet just wanted to be a kid. He loved recess and playing touch football.
I was as active as what a normal kid would be like, but not what the doctors wanted me to be. So I had to have 7 pacemakers throughout 11 years, first 11 years of my life.
But the heart condition finally caught up with the kid who loved to run. He says the only option was a transplant.
Obviously it was intense. My parents, they were crying, and my sister.
Chet received a donated heart at 11 years old in 2001. He says the improvement was immediate.
I remember waking up and I saw my toes and they were pink, and they hadn't been pink in a long time because poor blood circulation.
Pretty much right away, the thoughts turned to sports for this Green Bay Packers fan who got to meet Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre through the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
The doctor goes, "Well, why'd you get the transplant in the first place?" And I was like, "Well, so I could play tackle football." And he goes, "Then I don't see why not."
He went on to play football, basketball, and baseball in high school in Idaho City. Now, as a 29-year-old husband and father living in Boise, his love of sports hasn't waned.
It sounds funny, but I'm going to be in 2 kickball leagues starting in June.
There's that, and flag football and basketball, and something much bigger than rec league sports and pickup games.
This is the opening ceremonies of the the transplant games.
Chet competed in the last 2 Transplant Games of America, in Cleveland in 2016 and Salt Lake City in 2018.
In basketball, we got gold in basketball in 2016.
He has won 6 medals total in basketball and track. Yes, the games are about competition, but Chet says they're also a kind of therapy, a chance for transplant recipients to bond with those who understand them.
There's the sad side where, you know, you hear the stories about why someone else is there, and but at the same time it's happy because, I mean, they're here.
But Chet's quest to compete and stay active goes much deeper than a love of sports. It goes chest deep.
They didn't tell us everything, but they were able to tell us that it was a little girl that had passed away.
18 years later, that little girl's gift is often in his thoughts as he appreciates what he has.
Without receiving this heart, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get married. I wouldn't have been able to have a daughter, play all the sports I like playing. I can't do anything but live the best way I can to honor her, essentially, is how I look at it. And that's why I do everything I can.
It's become his life philosophy.
Just keep playing, just have fun with it. It almost stopped for me when I was 11, so.
Keep playing.
Yeah, just keep playing.